Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Sylvian Martel, all the way from Montreal, uh, who is an Oracle ace and a developer at Insum. Sylvian, welcome.
Thank you, Javed. And, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So let's get right into it.
Sure.
How did you become involved with Apex?
Oh, I think I have to juggle my memory a little bit. It's been a while.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was around 2007. Back then I was an independent consultant, and a customer of mine was wanting to move over from Microsoft Access and wanted to have something a bit more stable, more solid. So I was looking around. I really don't remember how I ended up being looking at Apex, but right from the get-go, I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. You know, we can, from a table, create a report and update data in no time. Show that to the customer. Customer was super happy, and that's really how I got involved in the first place back then in 2007, almost 20 years ago. No,
Wow.
10 years. Yeah, that's 12 years ago, right?
Okay. Yeah. It's funny how it's a very simple entry into it. So you've probably developed many applications since then. Is there something that you feel that you're really proud of?
Well, my background is for many years, so over 20 years, like ERP. I started with the famous Y2K bug. I was involved with an SAP implementation and then move over to Oracle e-business suite. So to me, the thing that I'm more proud of is able to promote and make Apex to work in an EBS environment for Oracle e-business suite customers from 11i to 12.1 all the way to 12.2. And show the organizations and the DBAs and the developers that with the skill set that they have already, they can use Apex and create application in no time with the tools that they already own, because Apex is part of the database. So I think overall, it's what I'm more proud of is to be able to show this technology and these tools to organizations that have EBS, which unfortunately was based on older technology like Oracle Forms and Oracle Reports.
Okay, all right. So along the way, you probably developed many best practices. Are there, for people who are just becoming familiar with Apex, are there something you could share? Maybe a couple.
Well, I think the best starting point would be to read this white paper that David Peak wrote a couple of years ago and maintained over the years, that described a good foundation for the best practices to develop a Apex application in the EBS environment. And in one of the last revision, I actually contributed to that white paper, so I was really happy to do that with David and just bring my experience to this documentation, and of course all the different, every time you go to a customer you learn a new trick or two. So that white paper was kind of a place to put a few of those, but generally speaking, from an Apex point of view and into EBS, is just to make sure to comply with the development standard that EBS has put together, that the EBS group has put together, and Apex can very in a very flexible way adapt to these standards in order to create application that will upgrade and follow the updates of EBS and also to Apex in a very nice way. I mean, just to comply with these standards, sometimes it takes a little bit more effort from a developer point of view, but in the long term, it just pays off so much more.
Okay. And just as there are best practices to follow, there's probably things to avoid. Anything you want to highlight on that?
Well, to go in technical stuff and in terms a little bit, the EBS folks know all about the app schema. So the app schema is the database schema that basically has the rights on all the APGL, PO elements. And many people sometimes are like interested or they have a feel for, oh no, we're going to put Apex running directly on the app schema, which is pretty tempting. But at the same time, since Apex is a web technology, you have to be very careful about how to prevent any attacks from going through the web pages, because that's what Apex is all about. And sitting Apex right in the app schema is just giving you, like, it's like a buffet, right? It's there, everything is there. And as opposed to Oracle reports, Oracle formula are a bit more closed. Apex, you know, can be an opening for attacks, which you can prevent in multiple ways. But having Apex sitting just on a custom schema and parsing against the tables that you have there, you can still grant all the apps objects into the custom schema, and that provides a very nice way of securing your data and the first line of defense, if you want, in order to not allow any hacker to access everything that you have under your EBS environment.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So I wanted to kind of move a little bit off Apex and ask you one kind of a personal question.
Sure.
Is you're in Montreal, and for those of us and for the viewers out there who've never been there, I'm sure you've got a lot of things to see, a lot of foods to try. But if there's one recommendation you have, if someone happens to be visiting Montreal, what would it be?
Such a hard question to say one.
Okay,
so, all right, two. How about one in the summer and one in the winter? How about that? So if you come in the summer, you definitely have to come and stroll around Old Montreal. It's like a little piece of Europe from the 17th century, the 16th century.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and you have very, very old building and stone paved roads and streets and whatnot. It's beautiful where you can walk around like a couple of blocks, right? And if there's one place that I would recommend you go for a good eat or for a good lunch or dinner is Jardin Nelson. So Jardin Nelson is kind of enclosed. There were a couple of houses that burned down, so they knocked down a couple of walls, stone walls that is, and they make this like patio, outside patio within these houses. They have wonderful crepes and a jazz trio every weekend. So that's the place you want to go during the summer. And during the winter, I think you would definitely want to go ski in Mont Tremblant, which is probably an hour away from Montreal, but you have great ski there, great elevation, and great nightlife also. So, these are your two tips from the Montrealer.
All right. Montrealer. Okay, that's a new one from my vocabulary.
And of course, you have to remember that we're speaking French over here in Quebec. So bonjour and merci is always a good start for a conversation with the locals.
Absolutely. Sylvian, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you for having me, and have a good day.
You too.